host on this channel, continuing our discussion on understanding the planetary presence in different houses of our astrological chart. In this video, we will try to understand the results of the planetary presence in the second house of your astrological chart. So friends, to begin with, what are the attributes connected with the second house? So definitely this is the house of your finances, your earning capacity. So when we talk about your exploration of the material resources, all those people, entities or skills which can contribute towards your financial income, that is something which we get to know from the second house. So planets which are going to be present over here basis their innate nature, basis their attached signification, and also on the basis of the houses they have got the rulership, and if they are going to be present in the second house, all of these entities could have a say in your earnings. Apart from that friends, this is also the house of your assets, all sort of your possession, the way you speak. Like when we talk about the prospects of your speech, when you open your mouth, wise word come out, nasty word comes out, we get to know from the dignity of the second house. This is also the house of your eating habits. Like for example, if you have planets like Moon or Venus or Jupiter present over here, you might be very fond of sweet food, very exotic food. But if you have planets like, for example, Mars present over here, you might be very fond of spicy food or hot food. Second house friends also tells about our values in this regard, that this is the house which tells about our early childhood environment. So the kind of parenting, the kind of early childhood experiences you have had, the values which have been inculcated into you by your parenting influence, that we also get to know from the second house. So friends, when we talk about your degree and sense of self-worth, so that is something which we get to know from the second house of our astrological chart. Now friends, let's say for example, if we will find the placement of Sun over here. So to begin with, the attributes connected with the Sun. So for example, Sun which represents your father, Sun which represents government. So with the presence of Sun over here in your income, in your financial earning, these two entities might have a say. Your father might have a say in your income, or for example, you might be working for the government only, you might gain from the government. When we talk about friends from the perspective of the earnings, so this placement can be seen as good in this regard, that Sun which has got a sense of independence. So with this placement, native might also strive for becoming independent, like self-employed, having his own business. And when we talk about the second house placement of Sun from the material perspective, so this could actually give a native a strong sense of individuality and strong sense of attachment with his possession. So native might have this mindset that his confidence, his public image, his prestige, his reputation is strongly connected with either his values or the kind of material possession he has. So that is how you can see the presence of Sun over here. And let's say for example, just because the presence of Sun in the second house can actually grant you very motivational, very leadership kind of speech, very commanding kind of speech, which can help you if your profession involves like speaking to large group of people. So with this placement of Sun, you can benefit in all these areas. Moving ahead friends, now let's say for example, if you will find the placement of Moon over here. So this can be seen as a very good sign for gaining on the account of public or public commodities. Like you might have your income connected with the dairy business, travel business, import export business, and along with that friends, like your mother might have a strong say or contribution towards your financial income. And even in the parenting, specifically the values instilled by mother might have a predominant say in your personality. And friends, when we talk about the Moon's presence in the second house, so many times what I have seen is that definitely with this kind of placement, your voice is going to be very soft spoken. So you can fairly be distinguished in the crowd because of your soft spoken skills. Like obviously you're soft spoken, so how can we distinguish you in the crowd where there is going to be a lot of cacophony of sounds? But the point which I'm trying to make over here is that all those people who will individually talk to you, they will get that sense of pleasingness in your speech. which can help you if you want to become a singer, if you want to become a musician. And just because friends, with the presence of moon in the second house, you can also flourish in the restaurant business and import export business, which I have already mentioned. The only concern over here is that with moon there is a lot of fickleness attached over here. So unless and until moon is not placed in a fixed sign, like for example Taurus, Leo, Scorpio or Aquarius, so if it is present in a fixed sign, then that can be seen as a very good sign of well management and saving aspect of your finances. But if you will find moon to be present in the fire sign, so for example, or even in a dual sign, then in those kind of scenarios, circumstances, the financial, specifically the saving tendency will always be in question. There is definitely going to be lot of fickleness over here. Moving ahead friends, now let's say for example, if you will find the placement of Mars in the second house of your astrological chart, so this can be seen as a very good sign that your speech is definitely going to be little bit very rugged and raw. So which can help you if you want to become or get into the fields of military, engineering or technology, leadership kind of profiles. You want to get into construction, real estate. So all those entities which are directly connected with Mars. With Mars's presence in the second house, they can actually contribute towards your earning capacity. Now friends, when we talk about from the perspective of the eating habits, so Mars's placement in the second house needs to be monitored, where native might have interest in smoking or drinking or having a very hot, fiery, red meat kind of food. That definitely depends on the country, era, society you live in, because obviously if you are living in India, so you might not be inclined towards having red meat. The point which I'm trying to make over here is that Mars's placement in the second house is definitely going to make you very competitive regarding your financial acquisition. Now it all comes down to in which dignity Mars is present over here. Now for example, if the overall planetary alignment in the chart is indicating a lifestyle which is driven towards unethical activity, unlawful activity, too much of the power struggle, forcefulness, then with this kind of placement, native can also take the route of underhanded activity as well, just to fulfill his financial needs. So it all comes down to in which dignity Mars is present over here. But in a nutshell, having your income from the Martian field, being very independent, very confident, very driven regarding fulfilling your financial goals, this placement of Mars in the second house can be seen as a very good sign. And also friends, like Mars, which also is the significator of your brotherhood as well. So for example, if you are already going through you are in a big family and the resources of the family needs to be split amongst the brothers and all of that, so Mars's dignity in the second house is definitely going to have a say the way the split and the sharing of the resources between the brothers, with how much harmony it is going to take place. Moving ahead friends, now let's say for example, if you will find the placement of Mercury over here, which can be seen as a very good sign, because Mercury, which in itself is the significator of speech, values, not values like speech, discriminatory intelligence, your resourcefulness. So Mercury's placement in the second house is definitely going to make you very savvy, very active, very intelligent in the right way of your financial management. Your income could be connected with the Mercurian fields as well, anything to do with sales, media, marketing, accountancy, languages, advertising, performing arts. So your income could be connected with the Mercurian fields as well, and you are definitely going to be very very influential, very good conversationalist, like the way we say that so many people, like even if you are traveling during the transit only, you are very quick in making friends, you are very spontaneous, you know how to deal, how to talk, and how to say the right words to the right people at the right given circumstances. So for example, if we are going to make you sit and talk to a very intellectual person, a scientist, an engineer, you can have the words in your repertoire, in your dictionary, to how to strike a conversation with this person to keep him engaged. And if we are going to make you sit with someone who is completely raw, who is not that financially or intellectually that savvy or sound, you will still know how to keep this person engaged. So that kind of good conversationalist qualities can be foreseen with this placement of Mercury in the second house. And just because, friends, we all live in a day and age of where people are working from their home, people are making good amount of money from investment, speculation, all these kind of digital marketing platforms and portfolios. So with this placement of Mercury in the second house, you can actually excel in all these fields as well. Moving ahead, friends, now let's say, for example, if we will find the placement of Jupiter in the second house. So definitely, friends, to begin with, from the perspective of the words which are going to come out of your mouth, they can definitely be very divine protected. You could be seen and perceived as someone who is very profound, someone who is very knowledgeable, someone who is very visionary. Definitely the Jupiter's presence in the second house, not only it is going to bless you with more and more opportunities, but even in the face of any financial crisis, it is definitely going to keep you very positive, optimistic and driven, that you can overcome these kind of difficulties which you are currently going through. And friends, just because Jupiter is also the significator or karaka of the second house as well, so the mere presence of Jupiter in the second house can be seen as good in all the regards, whether someone being raised with good values, good teachings, good morals, and legitimate way of making your financial earnings. And native might also be interested in either have your financial income and source of income connected with the holy fields, divine fields, banking, teaching, philosophy, and whatsoever you are going to make, you will earn. Native might also be very much open towards sharing it in the form of making donations, doing charities with all of his rightfully gained source of income as well. And whatsoever native is going to make, native will be happy even in sharing within his close and near and dear people within the family as well, with this kind of placement of Jupiter in the second house. Moving ahead, friends, now let's say, for example, if we will find the placement of Venus in the second house of your astrological chart. So definitely, friends, to begin with, in your financial earnings, the Venusian field might have a strong say, like anything to do with the all those feminine fields of gift shop, beauty products, makeup, all these fashion related entities. You might, or your income might be connected with these fields as well, or you could gain from these fields. Along with that, after marriage or post marriage, or your spouse might also have a strong say in your financial income, contribution in your financial income, from the perspective of having a very sweet, mellifluous voice and being very attractive and charming personality. Because, friends, second house also has a say in our facial attraction as well, like the way we say that first house just tells about your overall persona. So like when someone looks at your first house, they scrutinize everything, the way you walk, the way you look, your personality, your body language. But specifically when we talk about your face, that we get to know from the second house. So definitely with the presence of Venus in the second house, your face might be very attractive, very charismatic as well, and good qualities of good relationship management, harmony in managing any financial resources. Like for example, if you've been put forth in a partnership nature of business, so with your Venus's placement either in the 7th house or even in the second house, you will be able to manage all the connected partners and the business partnership model in a very efficient, in a very harmonious way as well. So from all of those regards, the placement of Venus in the second house can be seen as a very good sign. And even when we talk about the way you're going to talk, so Venus's presence in the second house is not only going to make you a very gentle, very soft speaker, but at times very like all those people who have a natural innate kind of a sensuality or a flirtatiousness or a charm in their spoken words. So that is how you can see the Venusian energies manifesting results with being present in the second house for any sort of wealth acquisition, living life in luxury. This placement can be seen as a very positive sign. Moving ahead, friends, now let's say for example, if we will find the placement of Saturn in the second house. So definitely friends, to begin with this kind of placement, native might be little bit traditional, might be little bit conservative in his values, in his inculcated values. The second thing is that regarding the financial handling, definitely with the mere presence of Saturn over here, your income could be connected with Saturnian field, where we talk about building material, construction, real estate, manpower management, astrology, spirituality, becoming a surgeon, becoming a politician. So all those fields can also be promised with this placement. The beauty over here is that with other planetary presence, they might give you income, but income might be keep on getting drained as well if your second house is not well guarded. But with the presence of Saturn over here, native will also have a strong potential and capacity to save the money as well. Whatsoever you are making, you will be able to save and in a right direction invest it as well. And also friends, with this kind of placement, generally it has been seen that whenever native is going to speak, native is going to be very visionary, very mature, strong judgment, strong opinions could also manifest with this placement of Saturn in the second house. And native is definitely going to be able to manage and retain all those people who are very respectable, near and dear to him. So for example, whomsoever will come in the circle of influence of this person, native is definitely going to have capacity to retain those connections for long time as well. So for any sort of financial gain, lasting vision, this placement of Saturn in the second house can be seen as a very good sign. Even with this placement, I have seen many people who end up managing or gaining many properties, many channel and source of income. And the good part over here is that wheresoever Saturn is placed in your chart, you have to remain very disciplined. So let's say for example, with this placement, if you have got a very extravagant, very pompous, very showy lifestyle, or you are the kind of person who is so much like materialistic driven that you can go to any extent to make money, so the punishment can also come in Saturn's time period as well, because Saturn just wants us to be humble, grounded, and being willing to share our resources, our potential, our talents to help people in need. So with this placement, it becomes very important that you should live your life with the Saturnian principles thoroughly. Moving ahead friends, now let's say for example, if we will find the placement of Rahu over here. So definitely friends, Rahu, which in itself represents that sort of hypnotic charm and attraction. So second house, which represents your speech. So your speech might be very convincing. It might be very hypnotically attracting, convincing to your audience, to the listeners. The second thing is that friends, definitely with the presence of Rahu in the second house, there is going to be a lot of obsession, lot of curiosity regarding the signification of the second house. You could be very street smart in your financial management. You could be very diplomatic. With the presence of Rahu in the second house, you could be the first one in your family to choose a occupation or a field which is completely new in your family. So that is how the energies of Rahu can manifest. And along with that friends, as you know this thing that Rahu connected fields of photography, of films, of technology, of IT, artificial intelligence. So your income could be connected with these fields as well. The only karma or the only learning which comes with this placement of Rahu in the second house is that there has to be a fine balance between smartness and shrewdness. Because let's say for example, if with this placement of Rahu specifically in your second house, if you are a kind of person who is going towards the negative and the afflicted side of Rahu, so for example, you smoke a lot, you consume all sort of drugs, you always lie, or for example with this placement you are even ready to go to any extent to make money, even if you have to compromise on your values, your family's values, you have to be a part of anything unlawful. So there you have to be very cautious, very kind of alert, because Rahu can definitely give temptation towards these things as well. But let's say for example, if you have Rahu to be present in a dignified state, like for example the Venusian signs, Mercurian signs, even the Saturnian signs, and your life is completely disciplined, moreover it is in the realm and the boundaries of lawfulness, then trust me, with this kind of placement you can have luxury and the riches of a very great height with this placement of Rahu in the second house. Moving ahead friends, now let's say for example if we will find the placement of Ketu in the second house. So definitely friends, this is a kind of a sensitive placement. With this kind of placement you have to give heightened attention towards your finances, because the ups and downs which are going to come, that could be little bit intense in nature. So habit of saving money needs to be inculcated. A portion of your income should be used for charitable causes as well. Seeking interest in spirituality and meditation and yoga and the surrender and the contentment, these values needs to be learned. And apart from that friends, definitely native is going to have some say, some psychic mystical say in the matters of the second house. When we talk about the values which you will demonstrate, those values will definitely have a say with some sort of past life as well. The only concern with this placement of Ketu in the second house is that friends, because Ketu is the significator of detachment. So growing up you might have that kind of childhood where you are not able to connect well with people, with your friends in the school. You kind of remain very distant, very disoriented, disconnected within your friends and your community. So that kind of growing up childhood experience can be anticipated if Ketu is going to be sitting all alone in the second house. But in the form of having a deep penetrating insight in all of your values, in all of your understanding, and a strong attachment regarding your family ties, your family tradition can be foreseen with this placement of Ketu in your second house. Moving ahead friends, let's say for example if we will find the placement of Uranus in the second house. So that can be seen as good in this regard, that native is definitely going to be very independent, very confident, very new way of looking at or managing your finances. So native could be amongst those few who want to jump to the first new trend which has actually started coming in the society, in the community. So having your income from all of these sectors, new age sectors, this placement of Uranus in the second house can be seen as a very good sign. But from the perspective of having a stability in your finances, your capacity to save the money, that is definitely and always going to be on the radar and is always going to be in the question. And the second thing is that friends, when we talk about your family tradition and values, so same way like a north node of moon, with this placement of Uranus in the second house, native is definitely going to be a rebel regarding all of his tradition and values, and he might have a very new way of looking at things. So that is something which we can see with the presence and placement of Uranus in your second house. Moving ahead friends, now let's say for example if we will find the placement of Neptune over here. So definitely friends, with this kind of placement your income could be connected with the Neptune related fields. We talk about photography, anything to do with performing arts or poetry, writing, imaginative talents. From that regards, this placement of Neptune can be seen as a very good sign. But in order to have a finesse and strong grip in your financial management, this placement is not very conducive. Like in extreme cases, it can also give a very daydreaming, like all those people who are always looking for lucky break, or take lot of lottery tickets and anticipating lottery win and planning their dreams and their goals in sync with that. So that could also manifest only if you will find Neptune to be present over here in a water sign with no aspect, like specifically like Saturnian aspect or Saturnian signs presence over here in the second house. And lastly friends, if you will find the placement of Pluto in the second house, so definitely friends, with this kind of placement of Pluto, as Pluto is a planet of extremities and Pluto is a planet of transformation. So with this kind of placement, the drive, degree and sense of motivation is going to be very strong, and all those signification are going to enhance if planets like Saturn or Mars is also going to be aspecting Pluto or being present or conjunct with Pluto in the second house. So I would say friends, with this kind of placement your income could be connected with the fields where there is a lot of muscle power, there is a lot of energy power is required, is entailed. For example, becoming a lawyer, having your profession, your income in construction, real estate, politics, manpower management, you can do very good with this kind of placement of Pluto in the second house. And lastly friends, with this placement, the attitude and approach of being of service and forgiving nature needs to be inculcated, because somehow this house is strongly connected with people who are very near and dear to you, your financial earnings, along with your tradition and values as well. So that is something, friends, which I wanted to say as a part of my inputs on this topic of planetary presence in the second house of your astrological chart. For further more updates and notifications on the divine science of Vedic astrology, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and like my Facebook page. Thank you.